All right, so here we are, June 4th, Founders Day, for our emphasis on being an ally. And we're here at the office in Des Moines, Iowa. And we share an office with my wife's company, Valley Services Cleaning, and More Than Missions. Of course, that's Time Ministries. So why don't you come on in and we'll check it out together. Hey, so here we are at our little dinky office here in Des Moines, Iowa. This is my wife's desk over here. This is where she does all the Valley Services work. I share some of the work with her. I do some of the books, but this is where I sit for Time Ministries. This is the Development Director, Don's area. So as you can see, we share a space, we share the cost. It's a wonderful situation we have here with Time Ministries and Valley Services, which she also knows her other name for her company, the residential side is Charlotte's Combat Clean. So many things going on. Here we have our office with our staff who are here today. Say hello.
Hello.
Yeah, so we're all here today for a staff meeting, and we're excited about being an ally. Founders Day is coming up.
Absolutely.
Well, here we are, June 4th.
Here we are.
Founders Day. Being an ally, we're at the last day. We're trying to get through this last portion where we ask you to become an ally, whether you come with support through financially, prayer, or go to the field. So today we're with the staff from here in Des Moines, and we're kind of going to familiarize you with us. Rick, how long have you been with Time Ministries?
Ooh, since 91.
91.
That's going.
That's actually being involved, not just...
And then on staff, I was a missionary in 2006.
So you went on a trip from, I think it was Minnesota, right?
We were in Iowa at the time.
That's right, you're Johnston E. Free.
Yeah, we had our
Which
whole...
is now North Point.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Now we went from, that was my first youth pastor job too.
Ooh.
And Iowa was for the Evangelical Free Church. That's the denomination we were in. But they had just a couple youth pastors in the whole district of Iowa, but there was a lot of churches and a lot of youth groups, and so the paid youth pastors got together and decided let's make a district-wide trip, and so we put on a couple conferences, but one of the things that we would do is a mission trip, and one of the guys, I can't remember who, knew about Time Ministries.
Wow.
And next thing we know, we have 80 kids going down to Time.
Oh, wow.
In Monterey.
1991. So this is Rick Jacobson. He is now leadership developer for Time Ministries, doing a great job. He stays in contact with the missionaries all year round, talks to them
Every week.
Every week. And so 91, I don't think I took my first trip till 92. When was your first trip, Dawn, to Time Ministries?
1987.
1987.
Wow.
Tell us about that.
Well, I think it was right before my freshman year in high school, 1987, and there was 9 people going. We took a van down, and we just went down for 8 days, and it was really small at the time. Elim was just the church building, and there was no gates or no anything. And I went down for the next 5 years after that, and by the time my last trip, we took 90 people.
Wow. Yeah,
90 people.
That makes sense.
And the compound, the compound campus had grown to we had girls' dorms and boys' dorms and parking and
the local church was there too.
And the local church was there too. So by the time you guys started coming down is when it got big.
Yeah.
And then like the gates were built and the dogs were out at night and but we would build churches. We would do VBSs all day, all night. I learned how to say Les invitamos a la iglesia esta noche.
Wow.
Do you want to come to the church tonight? I said it all the time. And donde es el baño? Or es la baño? Where's the bathroom? You have to know that. So, and I loved it. I met Doretta Brown, and my favorite part of going on those mission trips was the day that I got to stay back from construction and work with Doretta, like in the kitchen. And she would take us, shopping for fresh bread and all this kind of stuff. And so we had to do that. And I loved the heart of Time Ministries. I loved the going out into the city and reaching people and playing with the kids and just teaching them about Jesus. And so I went 5 years. I went for 5 different trips.
Yeah, and the church you went with, they've been going years before that.
Right. They'd been going since
Years
early
before that.
1980s.
So that was, you and I have a similar story.
Absolutely.
Years before, so I started going in 93. 92, 93, yeah. So I went similar as youth pastor, like I did with Rick, and I just fell in love with the ministry when I went. I loved the bus ride down and back with the 30, 40 kids, you know, because you just drove straight through and you were always on this bus and
Yeah.
up and down, talking. You really get to know your kids that way in the youth ride. You get to understand them a little deeper. And there's always one character on your trip that you gotta watch. And
Only
ours
one?
Ours was Arnie DeWitt.
Oh, love Arnie DeWitt.
So, yeah, so that was always, but that's how I got involved with Time Ministries. And Nancy, I know that, have you ever been on a trip with Time?
I have not been on a trip. I
That's
would
right.
love to do it someday.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll happen.
COVID hit.
Dawn is our development director, and Nancy is our
Finance manager.
She calls finance manager. I call her CFO. Call her what you want. I call her boss. So, tell us about what you do for Time.
I take everything that our generous donors have given to us and handle the payroll for all of our missionaries and the home office, and just try to manage the funds that you guys entrust to us, which is wonderful. I so appreciate each one of our donors, those who give now and then, those who give monthly. You're all very precious to us.
Yes, and that is a difficult job because it's fund accounting, and so it's very meticulous and organized. And I wouldn't want to do fund accounting because I do things like QuickBooks, which virtually anybody can do. So we're very fortunate to have Nancy on as our finance director, CFO.
But she has to deal with the money that comes in for the groups, so to make sure it gets to the right
Right.
site, money that comes in for the office, money that comes in for the missionaries.
Right.
So there's a plethora.
What people say is
There
where it
is,
needs to go.
there
So
is.
sometimes
Yeah.
she's even building an account saying, I guess I'll put this in this account. So yeah, it's quite the job.
It all gets out to the right place, which is good.
Right. Yeah, because missionaries want to get paid on time.
Oh, yes, they do.
And I don't blame them. And so some of the things that we're just going to talk about what we do at the office. You know, we set a lot of ministry in motion from this office. The field kind of gives us a vision for what they want to do, and then we help them facilitate that. So a lot of ministry happens out of here, out of this office, and so it's like we are very important to what Time Ministries does because we are the 501c3 setting. They couldn't do this without us. We deliver the money. We administrate some of the ministry that they need from here. When a group goes, it's very detailed operation of how we get the information to them to go. And the thing about Time Ministries is that we're like a travel agent. We
Absolutely.
do every single thing that you need to do. You just need to get to the airport in Mexico, in the Dominican Republic, Cuba, or Haiti, and we'll take care of you from there. So that's sort of what we facilitate out of here. Rick is really has the job of mentoring and developing leaders and getting everybody on the same page. And so his job has been, what have you been in that position for 3 years now, 4 years now?
Something like that, yeah.
You were doing missionary care before, which
Right,
is similar.
right. Yeah, it kind of just
It's
developed
very
into
similar,
this.
yeah. But this kind of developed into something a little more, well, it fits your skill set and your education. You have a degree in, what is your, come on, you can tell us.
Well, I got a name Div because I was a pastor. So.
Okay.
Um,
Master in Divinity.
Mhm.
You could say MDiv, but I wouldn't even know.
Master of Divinity. Our graduation, we have to walk on water. That's a classic joke. No, it's not true.
I would love to see that.
It sounds a little common.
Well, anyway, that qualifies us to do different things out of ministry, out of Time Ministries that we wouldn't do before. We do give accredited situations for interns that we can grant them
Yeah,
accreditation.
some interns we've filled out the paperwork and their schools have allowed them to get credit at their college.
And we couldn't do
As
that
as a
without
practicum.
the walking on the water.
Well, yeah. Yeah, so
That's all,
that helps.
It's very helpful.
I wish more would take advantage of that because what a deal.
Yeah, we need more interns that want to take advantage of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
anything to get a college credit done.
Yeah,
And
so,
then what a fun way to do it.
Totally fun.
Absolutely.
yeah, and so we're very thankful for what Rick brings to Time Ministries and has over the years. So, Dawn is the development director, and she's got a pretty big job, right?
I do.
So, kind of like to hear some of the things that you do. And
Where do you want me to start?
well, let's start with. Hey, let's go back. Let's go back and
let's go
talk
back.
about how we've modernized our system in the last year. Why don't you start there?
The last year or the last 4 years? Because it started when I started, actually.
Well, we've only got so long.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I'll make the first 3 years short. We took the first 3 years and we put into place processes that would facilitate ease and for our groups to go to the next step. There are things that you have to do as a group, but we walk you through everything. So we put those steps in place so that they were easily accessible. We have somebody now, at least in the DR, Rebecca, who is walking through that with groups. Every single group she walks through the next steps with. She calls them, she talks with them, she makes sure their projects are on task, that they know when their money's due, know when their devotions are due. So we processed that so that it was a streamlined process and much more easy for people. This last year, in going more into development of ministry and things, we've been working a lot with Chris Anderson, who in the DR, and Sam, to work with our marketing to take our branding to a similar feel. We've worked, like this year for our Time Ministries, we have a cover of Courageous Love. So all of our devotions that Rick and the guys wrote, they fall under Courageous Love. And then when they go down, they work under the heading of Courageous Love, that they have Courageous Love and it takes Courageous Love to go. So we have a similar form that people work under at all times. So that's what we're doing this year, is we're just trying to navigate how to bring it into technically the 21st century,
Exactly.
into a modern generation that thinks differently than a lot of things. Missions is an old word. It's biblical. It's way old, and people don't necessarily use that in church anymore. They call it service trips or those kind of things. So reminding people that missions is what we're called to do is kind of our end goal. How they can know God and advance missions, because as Christians, that's what we are. We're missionaries. So that's kind of what we're doing this year with our Be an Ally for Founders Days. It's a fun old kind of a campaign. We updated our leader books, we updated our devotionals, we updated our policies and procedures, we updated our dress codes, we updated, what else have we updated, Rick? I mean, we updated so much.
Everything.
We modernized a lot of it too.
We
to make it
modernized
more accessible.
all of it, and
Yeah.
so much more of it is digital. We have QR codes to get people places. We have our YouTube channel that we keep all of our videos on, and we keep them on playlists so they're organized and people can get to them easily. So these are just some of the things that, again, we have a project team that works really hard on this stuff, making things work well and be cohesive together. So.
Yeah, I think it's important to know that during these COVID times, when we don't have a lot of groups going, that we have used our time wisely. And
Absolutely.
And
We got a
modernized.
ton done last year.
Yeah,
And I know it wasn't what we wanted to be doing. We wanted to have groups and we
Right.
wanted to have people down. And I think that's what fuels us too, because
Right.
we're all like, bring them down.
Yeah.
We need people. But we absolutely utilized this last year, and we did so much.
Yeah.
On top of that, we did implement a new ministry, which was the time to eat. So they implemented that on the field this year to be productive throughout COVID and have a ministry still within where they're at, Mexico and the Dominican, and I believe even Haiti.
Yeah.
I know we got food to Haiti too. So
And I'm not too sure. I think we sent something to Cuba.
did we get something to
Yeah,
Cuba?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So on the field, we have our site directors, Chris and his wife, Cindy Anderson. And in Mexico, we have Sam and Jessica Olmedo. And the Andersons have been with Time since about 10, 11 years now. And Jessica has been there
She
for.
came on when I came on.
Yeah.
So 2006.
Yeah, and then Sam joined after they became one. And so they're heading up the ministry in Monterrey, Mexico. So, we've been around since 1968. It's not like we're a new thing.
no, we're not new.
Short-term missions has been kind of taking it on the chin the last 10 years. There's been a real negative, I don't know, I would say rumors and talks about when you talk about you take a service team or a short-term mission team like ours, which is totally focused on the local church, and then you take a service ministry where you're going to dig in a well or you're doing something, and those kind of got merged in the language of short-term missions.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, pastors kept coming out. Well, that's not really missions. That's not missions anymore. And so we're very fortunate that our founder said we won't do anything without the local church. We won't start our own thing, do our own ministry. We won't go someplace and do something without having it go through the local church. So we've been.
I think that's a big thing with Time Ministries, because when those, like the books that came out about, there were groups that were going out and just giving busy work,
Right.
To Christian groups and Christians who just want to go out and have a feel-good experience, which that's not what we do. And so we never really had to worry too much about these things because we never did those things.
Right.
Everything we do is, our missionaries live on the field so that they can get to know the pastors, the local churches, to find out, what do you need?
Yeah.
And then we just team them up with the American groups that can go over and help them. And it's a partnership. It's a church helping the church. So it's totally different from the mainstream that they're arguing against.
Exactly.
So
Yes, there's no denying the link between someone going on a short-term missions trip and becoming a missionary, or becoming an advocate for missions, or
an ally.
an ally.
Now,
Right.
use
Being
the
an
word.
ally, being an ally for missions.
Funnel it in.
So that does happen, and we are very fortunate that Doretta and Zero laid that down. It's in
Yeah,
our
very much
bylaws.
so.
It is something we adhere to, and it's kept us safe over the years, because
Yeah,
we've tried to
exactly.
do other things, but that we said, the board would say, no, that's not what we do. So it's very fortunate.
Absolutely.
So anyway, this is us. Is there anybody we on staff that we're not including? It us.
Other
this
than
is it.
Doretta.
Yeah, Doretta.
But, yeah.
Poor Doretta. She's out there in Oregon and she's just living it up. And she is on staff. That is a really good point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because she holds some of our, I guess I would call it prayer ministry and spiritual maturation.
Absolutely.
We all have been blessed by her. She's
Absolutely.
going on 98.
She'll be 98 on July 4th.
Yeah, and
Just
still
came back from the DR.
Just came back, still working.
Right.
We have a phone call every Tuesday, and we pray. And we talk about the ministry. She's feeds people and talks to pastors.
I was going to say, she just did Awana's class. She
Yeah.
just spent a whole week
Yeah.
at a church doing different classes,
Oh,
just
really?
talking to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And I think that was last month? So she's still working,
Yeah.
working.
So the staff here, Rick offices out of his home in Lawson, Missouri.
I was grandfathered in.
Yep. And then we office here, and we share an office with my wife's business, Charlotte's Combat Clean. And so we've kind of been able to keep our costs low and our overhead as low as we can.
Right.
And during the COVID, we were fortunate enough to get payroll protection. And so, God has been really good to us the last couple of years, even though there's been a drastic loss of teams going to our fields. But what we do, is we hope for, is that today, June 4th, that you will dig into your pockets and support us. We like the monthly supporters, and we really do. $50 to whatever you can give every month is great for the home office, because that is what needs to get funded. The more funds that come in for the general fund and the home office, the more money that gets to go to the field. And so when a group comes, instead of us having to take a percentage of the group fee that pay to go, we can just send all of that to the field, and that'll just help develop the field a lot better.
Absolutely.
So that's what we're shooting for. So we really do need your help here at the home office. So if you would be kind to pray and then support us, and then if you can't do those things, go.
Absolutely.
The more you know, the more you go. Like,
He's been saying that all week.
Oh,
I'm not even lying
That's
to
next
you.
year's t-shirt.
We should make it a
Yeah,
t-shirt.
yeah.
yeah, the more you know about God,
Yeah.
the more you go. So dig into that pocket too, and find a slot for your family, or just a couple of people that want to go, or a big group that wants to go. And we have fields that you can go to: the Dominican Republic and Mexico, and Hades. We can get to go there on a regular basis, and it's a good ministry. And Cuba's mainly a women's ministry, which is really fun stuff. So we want to thank you for joining us today on Founders Day. Be an ally. Hey, let's all say it.
Be an ally.
How corny is that?